Today's Lunenburg Water District Commissioners meeting, July 10th, 2024, 4 p.m. Let's get started by saying the Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to pass around the minutes of June 26th and July 8th for review. And while we do that, I guess we can talk about the Mass Ave water main, if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, the crews are out. Right now, they're just laying out the temporary water lines, which is 6-inch pipe. So it's all that fuse pipe, so they must have a fusing machine, so the pipe is going to fuse it. And then they're gonna start, tying them into the houses and stuff. So once that temporary's up, then there's no more broken water mains on Mass Ave. So we run off temporary, and then the new line is done. So they expect it's gonna take probably a week to 10 days to finish the temporary.
Yeah.
So, but they said they were coming right after the holiday, and they did. So they're right on schedule.
So what, they're not burying under the driveways, they're gonna run them across and make a
No,
mound?
they're gonna do a little cut. They have a little
Okay.
cutting machine. They'll cut it
And then put it in?
Just they're buried, because it's 6-inch
That
pipe,
would
so
be- sure.
some of the cars will get it,
Right.
unless they do it.
So they're gonna cut the driveways buried
Bury
that way?
it,
or-
yeah, they go back and pave it.
Okay.
Flyers going out in the bills that just went out were actually, seemed to be received. We've had a few phone calls, just
So
positive ones.
Well, we
just
gotta
some
get a
questions.
post out to these people.
Yep,
We're
yeah,
talking, we gotta send something just to Mass Ave people.
Yeah,
so
so the water.
they know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, on that, it's moving ahead, which is good.
Yeah, so I'm up to
And we did, for the financing, Fran had met with MDR when they had that pre-meeting, and they thought that they would be done within the 4 months, but then I was gone on vacation, but Fran spoke with Unibank, our financial
Yep.
advisor, and he said he absolutely recommends the 6-month. He said, but I don't think it's just because of that. He went over the timing, the election, he went over everything, and he said it would be in our best interest to do a 6-month.
Temporary.
Yes, temporary.
Do we have costs of that versus a 4-month versus something else?
I think it's probably pretty minimal.
Yeah, I don't think I honestly, I don't, and we've had him a long time. We've been working with this company a long time. I kind of feel, I understand the numbers, but I mean, I guess the thing is I don't think we would know an exact amount because we have to go out to bid. So
Well-
until we went out to bid, I don't really, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying, but basically, if we're gonna borrow money, and we borrow it for 4 months, or if we borrow it for 6 months, there's a difference in the interest, et cetera, et cetera. Are we talking $250, or are we talking $250,000? I guess that's kind of where
yeah,
more than likely, we have to probably do the 6 months, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of want to see what the cost is, because people aren't giving us a bump loan here on $22 million or something, for like, you want a 4 months, 6 months? They're making money off it.
Yeah, his big concern, because of the elections,
Oh,
that the interest rate's gonna be bouncing everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why he just felt that it was the wrong time to be going out for a full.
do we know what the
term.
interest rate is on that?
so it's going out to bid
Okay,
next week.
okay.
So, because our other temporary borrowing becomes due in like 3 weeks, or.
So we don't even know the
roughly.
number check, it's
We
just-
don't, we have to go out to bid,
Understood.
so we don't even know that. So this is kind of where we're taking his finance coming from, and I did express all that after our
Yeah.
last conversation, I expressed all that to him, and then, have since had a couple conversations, and he was like, this is what I recommend, you know what I mean? So we'll have numbers, so actually at the next meeting, I will have all the bid numbers.
Okay.
And from there, you guys will have to So anyways, that's where we are on the financial part.
All right.
I like numbers.
I know, I get it, and it's tough, you know, as far as not knowing, up in the air, the 4 to 6
Right, I
months,
don't
you know,
wanna-
the interest rates, all that
I
kind of
mean, I
stuff.
wanna, protect our investment
I know.
in this as much as possible. I just want to be as, frugal
I
as
know.
possible about it.
Yep.
So.
I mean, the question too, I suppose I could bring out to him is.
What's the date again on the, when is our current temporary lending? Is it like 2 or 3
It's like
days?
August 2nd,
Yeah.
August 4th, I'd have to look, I know it's August, but it's like the first week in August. So
Yeah.
that's where we're trying to, all right, get this out to bid now, because then you guys actually have to sign for it. Our
Correct.
next meeting will be the 24th,
Yep.
so that we can accept it before, August 1st, in order for us to pay
No,
back.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I
That
understand that you
rolling-
can't just do this in a matter of days.
Yeah.
You need to plan. But, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get the numbers, we'll
Yep.
look at them, and then we'll go from there.
But what I was gonna say, the one question I could ask is, I don't know how that part works, but if we did finish the project in that 4 month, hey, we're ready to go, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, is MDR still, do they give you a guesstimate on?
They're working on their time schedule, but it won't be, 4 months is more than enough time.
Right.
But so, and I mentioned that, because we met with
Yeah.
MDR, and we had that meeting, and then I called the financial advisor, and I ran that by him, and he's like, that's gonna put us at this time.
I know.
He's like, I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
He's like, I would go to 6 months. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna do what you recommended. That's kind of where we went.
Yeah. So we'll know numbers next meeting.
All right.
I was just looking at the minutes,
Hmm?
probably no big deal, but there's a lot of stuff on here. Hang on a second. A lot of stuff in here that was talked about that isn't in here, if you know what I mean. But,
Don't vote on them then. I can go back over my
If
notes
you have,
and
if you have
stuff.
an issue, we have.
Yeah, don't-
If you're not
then-
if you have concern about how the minutes are, then we can vote
Yeah,
to
put 'em
pass
to-
over them.
yeah,
and
put 'em to
review
the
with
side,
Christie
John, I'll
what should be
review 'em.
in there.
Yep.
okay, all right.
No problem, put those aside.
Well, we still could do.
You could still do Mondays, the July 8th.
Right.
You can't, John,
Right.
because you weren't there, but.
You ready for that, Mr. Chair?
Certainly am.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the minutes of July 10th, 2024,
July 8th.
8. Why did it say July 10th? With the correction of
I
July.
believe,
Oh, no, that's today's meeting date.
Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong one. Where are the other minutes?
I got them.
There we go, July 8th. Now that we got it.
How about this one?
That
No,
one, I'm
you
gonna,
pass over.
I'm gonna hold on that one for right now, and we can make a motion to pass over. How's that?
All right, I make a motion to pass over the meetings of, the meeting of June 26th.
There's already a motion on the floor,
Okay.
Mr. Commissioner.
But not the 26th.
I know, you
Okay,
guys,
so
hold on. You guys have screwed this up. I'm the one
his
that's-
heat is like,
I'm gonna, first off, I'll accept the motion to approve the minutes of July 8th.
So moved. And he doesn't get the vote, so it's just
All
me.
those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Esposito, do you have anything to add about the minutes?
Well,
Would you like to make a motion?
Would you like about the minutes of,
Could we just pass these over? We need to make a motion.
yeah, we'll just make a motion, we pass over them. until we review.
I'll second that.
All right?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's why I got, that was.
Too many pieces of paper.
All right.
Yeah, what's going on with all this paper here? Okay.
Discussion regarding the town of Ayer's PFAS treatment facility.
Okay, we did a lot of investigating with the town of Air, talked to the engineering firm, the highest guy there, and we went through the whole treatment process, went through what Lunenburg treatment process is, and the information that was spread last week is 100% incorrect. So they did just the PFAS treatment.
Okay.
So their price was $7 million,
When was this constructed?
3 years ago,
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago.
So they did that was on, they have 2 well sites, correct?
Correct.
And they had a treatment on a well that was similar in size to the Keating well.
Correct.
And they're, for all intents and purposes, their water supply is fairly close to what we use. Their max day was 2.7, our max day was 2.4.
No,
No, no.
it was 1.4. So they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
sites,
Okay.
similar to what I.
It showed like multiple head well sites and so forth.
Yes, they have multiple high producing well sites.
Yeah,
Okay, so when we spoke to all the, well, we spoke to the air superintendent, and then she passed us on to their engineering firm, which is CDM,
Mhm.
Dresser,
McGee.
McGee. Well-known, I don't think they're very high in the PFAS thing. Some people are more in the PFAS, but this is
Sure.
learning for all of them.
everybody's learning.
Everybody's learning,
Yeah.
so anyway, we spoke to the engineer, and we said, okay, it's $7 million, how much would it be for today's cost? Well, he's easily at 20%.
Okay, but didn't they already had treatment in place for iron and
Yeah,
manganese?
I'm going.
Okay.
Okay, so it's $7 million just for PFAS.
Can I
PFAS
ask,
only.
can I ask some questions as we go here?
Right now.
I mean, what is their, max, gallons daily?
That was 1.2 million.
1.2, okay.
No, I thought the
No.
max day was 2.4.
Oh, that, for the whole system, I'm
Yes.
talking
Sorry,
about
for
this
this,
one.
Oh.
for this treatment facility, what can it treat per day?
The one we're talking was 1.2 million.
Okay.
Very similar to
Yeah, absolutely.
very,
Understood.
exactly the same as what if we did Hickley's in Lancaster. I think.
Correct, yep.
Okay, so their budget was $7 million, he said, today's cost add 20% for that.
Okay.
Okay, so we started talking about iron and manganese removal. He says, more than double that number, and then add 20%. So more than double it, so.
So we say-
More than 14 plus
Yep.
20%. So if we look at, the original budget for Hickory Hills was 14.9.
Correct.
So I think the numbers we're getting are the same or better than what the numbers we're seeing from there. So these are all budget numbers.
Correct. What was the actual cost of that plant, the 7 million, is that like the?
That was the actual.
That was just for PFAS, so they already had iron and manganese installed.
Understood, that was the building.
And there's no land involved,
Yeah.
no relocation.
So they
you
own
know,
the land.
No water main?
No water main, because they built them right there at the well site.
Half his own one,
Right.
Yep.
So, yeah, I did a little quick math after that. I went through a lot of things here, had some conversations with you about things, and I came up with 7 million, double it to do iron and manganese, 14 million. Easily increase in construction costs because this started back in 2016. So I was at about 16, 17 million for a plant that would be comparable to Keating's, where we had an estimated budget of 12.2 million.
Right.
So I don't see, I think it was good to be able to talk to a different engineering firm and talk to another community that went through it. I think they even offered for us to go out and do a site visit. and
Yeah,
if we
they
wanted
Yeah,
to.
so air invited us to go there. They do not allow civilians to go into that treatment plant. So, but they did invite Bloomberg representatives to go to that site.
Yeah, that would be good to see. So, yeah, I think through it all with checking and doing the due diligence.
I think we're right on board. I mean,
We're right-
I think
we're
we're
right-
on,
we're-
so
yeah.
if we look at our numbers, the projected cost, we went for a $32 million
Right.
article at the last meeting, but the actual cost of the construction cost was 24.8 million.
Right.
And that was for both, and that includes $6 to $7 million for water main across the town, which we know, because we
Yeah.
had different plans to do it
Correct.
much, much cheaper. So, but anyway, we were going for estimated budget number, which when you go for a number for financing, you don't go for your exact number, you cushion everything along the way.
Right.
So the real number was 24.8, but we went for 32.2 to make sure we had everything covered.
Mhm.
And because even if we got voted for 32.2, doesn't mean we spend we can't spend 32.2. You approve for 32.2, you do your project. You can't just go, hey, let me go spend $1 million on a new dump truck.
Right.
No, you do your project, and everything has to be submitted and approved, and then you get paid for. So if you end up spending $23 million,
That's
you
all you
spend
get.
$23 million. You might have approved for 32, doesn't mean you spend 32.
Mhm.
So, out of curiosity, we did at one point ask Ty and Bond to, when they analyzed all the different well sites. And they looked into the fact that having one plant to cover two sites might be, you add the transmission main, but you lower your you're back at your operating costs in the future.
You're building one treatment plant
Right.
rather than two.
Right, so they did look at it, and after going the route of combining the two sites, we felt that your upfront costs were a little bit more, but your down the road costs
Right.
decreased, because you're only maintaining one facility, one set of utilities. Granted, you're treating more water than just the one, but you should be able to size it appropriately to do so.
That's correct.
So, yeah, I still stand behind the plan that we had. I don't see something changing in the future for us, but, you know, it's gonna be up to what the voters decide.
Okay, and what everybody needs to realize is, these numbers are based on
They're gone.
what, yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
So I think we're looking at, there's only 7 people in the state that can put these in. The projects that are going out for bid now, 2 people are bidding on. The prices are coming in, there was a project 40 million, it came, the lowest bid was 57. So I think you're gonna see, I said at the meeting on Monday night, we're looking at, $20 million probably for a number, and that's one site, that would be Keating site. And I think 20 million is probably too low. Too low right now. I mean, I think you're gonna see numbers probably in the $30 million.
And then on top of that, we won't get the grants that we,
They go on.
They're gone.
Well, there's less, there's that one pool, so
Right.
there's more people jumping in the pool.
Yeah.
So,
I can't say we won't get anything, we will not get
You won't get
nearly
the
what we-
principal forgiveness, because that was through the infrastructure bill that Biden
Yeah,
passed.
and that's
That's
next
gone,
year, right?
that's gone, yeah. So by this getting voted down, you lost 2 years. What's it cost in 2 years?
And $17 million.
Pass.
what did it take, so did Air just get their second plant online? When was the second plant online? Because they were so close to Fort Devens, I know they talked about,
Yeah, they got
they
one
got,
online.
the Army Corps of Engineers designed the thing for them. And it seemed like looking at our numbers, that their numbers were definitely cheaper, but you do, they've already had one set of treatment all up and running. So
Right.
you gotta double what their cost would be, because we have to treat that now.
And we were on the early testing for the Keating well, because that is so close to Devens.
Yeah.
That Mass DEP had us do preliminary sampling, because they were all concerned about that well. And at that time, that was the old regulation that we had passed.
So-
Now it doesn't pass under the new
The
regulation.
report, I am looking through, they did have a good website, I'll give them that.
I read through
Working
that.
on that.
I read through their presentation was good. And like I said, I feel that what we presented was the best long-term plan for Lunenburg.
Well,
But the reality is that it got voted down, and we'll start at square one, and we'll push through it again. The best way to treat water in Lunenburg.
complete treatment study in 18, so it's like 20. So it took them, they started somewhere, and it depends where they started, but they were contacted there in 18 to advise what upcoming change, so, yeah, in 2 years, turnaround. But there aren't a lot of these.
Right. I don't think you'll see a two-year turnaround.
You won't see a turnaround, no, not
Not
anymore.
with new law.
So the thing with that too, they were critical, they failed, so they were.
What were they at, do you know?
30?
Yeah, they were,
For their PFAS
Yeah.
results you're talking about? I
No,
thought they
They're
had,
in there.
I thought they had one that was over 100.
no, they had to be over, because in 2016, the advisory was for 70 parts per trillion.
Yeah, so I thought they were over 100 at one point.
Well, that's what-
Their 6 and 7 were 48.41 parts per trillion. Grove Pond well was 250.26 parts per trillion. So that was like a shot glass.
Did they say anything about, like, annual maintenance costs?
100,000. I think that's what Dave said. So-
To exchange media?
But there's two different things, like, so I know everything kept coming up, Hickory Hills has the most maintenance cost on it, because,
It does.
but it doesn't,
It
because
does.
you're treating iron and manganese. The only thing you gotta do more frequently, if the more higher the iron and manganese is backwash.
Right.
That doesn't cost you any money to backwash.
But as we've talked about this with the engineers, if something has 40 parts per trillion or 17, the PFAS remediation portion of it is virtually the same cost.
Yes.
You're changing media at a certain, rate, but it's not like because it's higher, it's double the price. It's not linear, for example. I'm not saying it's the exact same price, but the theory that if something has 50 parts and something has 20 parts, it's about the same cost to.
Yeah, you talk 50 parts,
Right.
2 parts, you're talking,
So in talking to the engineer, did you get the sense that our, you know, they're kind of in line with stuff that?
I
we're dealing
didn't,
with
I didn't
on?
compare the two, I didn't have him say, what do you think of this?
Sure.
He's fully willing to come in to talk to you guys, but I don't wanna waste his time.
Right.
I mean, we tend to call these people, waste everybody's time.
Yeah,
And I think we're done with that.
Well, I think we'll stick to what we discussed, you know, a month or two ago, about sitting on this, waiting for the next cycle. Keep, you know, is the Hickory Hills pilot done? Or they were just
No,
about?
they sent it out to.
Okay.
And
What-
what,
Yeah,
Right.
they were talking about, when we met with, I think it was Lou that came in
Yeah.
last time, and talked about a process that we should follow at this
Correct.
point. And I think it was kind of wait this round here,
Right.
we'll have all of the pilot studies done.
Mhm.
That will help them to be able to design the plans more accurately. And then we have to figure out how we're gonna bring this to the public again, how many different ways.
Yep.
You know, and we go from there.
so the Keating well is the one that you need to really look at the maintenance long-term. So you can build the treatment plan.
Mhm.
You know, we get the budget numbers, which was 9.4 million, with the contingency and all the extra 2.8 million extra, so they were talking 12.2 as a
Mhm.
budget number, okay? So, but that one has, the cost of the construction of the plant is very similar, but it's the long-term maintenance cost, which is much higher than heating one.
Because of
Because of
the
the hot
hard
water.
water,
yeah.
Now, are we gonna buy
Yeah.
a truck, tank a truck to dispose of it, bring it to wherever, you know, so that there's a lot more of a higher maintenance cost on that one than the other one.
The, in Air, the iron manganese levels, but they had already been treating those prior to.
That's correct.
Do we know roughly, like, is that a high cost to them, just to treat, no PFAS here, I'm just talking the iron.
Iron Man, that's once you design your system, it's just a square footage size, how big of a
Okay,
thing. And then you do have to replace your media.
Yeah.
When the method we were doing is a biological, it's a bacteria in the
Correct.
chambers, and that actually eats you eat the iron first, and then it goes in the next chamber and eats the manganese.
Mhm.
So, there was no exchanging of filter beds on, for the
Right.
process that we were doing, it was just backwash.
So conceivably, the maintenance on the Keating well, because of the hard water versus the iron and manganese treatment on the other wells, is probably gonna
It's
cost
gonna,
more.
it's definitely gonna cost more.
Well, we'll help, hopefully after we have the pilot study done, they can
Go into-
analyze that.
If it's okay, go into the pilot testing for the key and go into a little bit of that one.
I mean, yeah.
Mass DEP is getting a little, asking for more testing to be done as part of the pilot testing. The budget number that we did through Time Bond didn't cover all those extra things.
Mhm.
So now, the pilot testing hasn't taken place on the heating well yet because they're trying to work out, get DEP to remove those extra things, because we don't have enough money in the budget to do it as they requested. So we're trying to get it, DEP to back off. and-
If
so
not,
we can
If-
if not, how much money are we?
I haven't even heard. All I did was I asked Blue Leaf, who does the pilot testing, I'm like, what's the status? He said, we're still negotiating on how we're gonna proceed, so I haven't actually heard about it yet.
I was watching
But my guess is not.
selectmen's meeting from last night, and they were talking about the ARPA funding.
Still got some?
Yes.
Could we go and ask for
We could ask for
more?
more.
Caesar was sending an email out to other businesses and everything, because it seemed a little split on the board, just from me watching that. They want to invest in businesses and exactly what ARPA is for, the sewer, the water, the businesses, all of that, where some of the other ones wanted to go more towards capital stuff. So there was a
That's
split.
not supposed to be.
I'm just letting you know what I watched. So they were reaching out to other businesses, but as soon as you said that this could go over, because I believe we originally asked for 400.
Mhm.
So if this is something that we think is not, DEP is not gonna back off on, and we don't have to put out to our residents, if we can figure that
Let
out.
me find out the exact number.
Yeah.
And I'll pass it on to the selectmen.
And let's, because
Say,
they
hey,
are
we're
asking for.
30,000 short, or whatever number that is.
Yeah.
I
and
think
wait
it would
and see
be
how it
worth,
goes.
talking with them,
Yeah.
so that we can complete that
And
study.
and I don't know how we can do it in the future, because we have that class action lawsuit that we're part of. which we're supposedly gonna get reimbursed for our expenditures. So if we put in for that we spent $230,000
Yeah.
to keep,
Yeah.
and we get reimbursed for it, I have no problem.
We can give it back to the
Yeah,
town,
yeah.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
But just a thought, if we get numbers together,
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
reach out to
Because
them.
they're,
The other thing too is Bond was applying for those grants. for
Correct.
Yeah.
Reimbursed testing.
Sure.
That would be great if
Yeah.
that comes through.
I think with the opera has a clock ticking, so,
Well, that's what they talked about, that they want everything under contract by the end of 2024.
And
A
it has
couple
to
of
be
them were like, I
completed
want
by
this.
25.
correct.
Yeah, a couple of them were like,
Yeah,
we need to
like
do this
mid-year, yeah.
now.
So,
So-
but we might find out on our grant, we might be giving money back to the town.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
who knows?
yeah,
Okay.
but just a thought for backup.
While we're on the subject of the air water treatment plant,
Yes.
I would take public comment on this if anybody from the public chooses to comment. Sir?
Yeah, David Cono, Island Road, Lunenburg. First of all, thank you, Franny, and everyone for going down and look at this. When I talked to the engineers, not the engineers, the manager, we based it only on the, what's the well over here? Not the Hickory Hills,
Lancaster Ave.
Lancaster Ave. And that's what we compared it to, and the numbers are almost identical if you look at it. But what I'm happy about is that you guys are investigating it, you're looking at it. I thought the presentation was great. I think you saw the presentation
Yep.
that Air did. That's what you need, you gotta get people excited. And there are ways to lower costs. What I'm confused about though is that if we approved the plant at the last meeting, and you already said that this is going up today 20% higher, where would you, what number would Bloomberg be looking for now?
Oh, not 20% higher than numbers we did, 20% higher than what Air did.
No, I'm talking now, you said bids are going up now higher than what there was proposed.
If you look in
Oh.
these, there's contingency on engineering, and I believe our engineer
I'm not
anticipated.
talking about-
Anticipated.
Yeah, he
'Cause you
raised
can't-
it seven.
Our main thing on
Since
the-
we're having discussion.
Sorry, yeah.
I'll let you know. I believe what he is referring to as this plant is 3 years old, 20% higher from that 3 years ago. So when we did our numbers, we had anticipated the projected cost of these numbers that we put out there had factored in this.
If you get the approval at the town meeting,
Mhm.
when would that have gone out to bid? You still would have to do engineering, you would have to do the construction
There's a
documents.
whole timeline
That-
that we
that-
had in this
we-
Yeah,
projected.
we never saw a timeline, so when would
Yeah.
you go?
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah, but
timeline was every meeting we
I
did.
never seen
You
a
never came
timeline.
to the meeting.
That's right, I didn't, I mean,
That's-
that's.
But they were in our
How many is that?
presentations, they're in our master plan,
When
which is
would
on
it-
the website.
when would it have gone
I
out?
think it was anticipated going out for construction for next year.
Yeah,
All right, so that's another year.
but that's what
higher.
he's
But-
saying,
but
is
he has
this
a
is what the
$7.5
price is
million
based on.
increase.
I understand that. I'm just saying is, more information you guys get, the better you'll have to control costs. And costs are going down, and you're right, there's more than 2 companies doing it.
7,
But
there's only 7.
today,
Today.
but things are slowing down, people are looking for more
No,
work.
there's only 7 businesses in the state of
Today.
Massachusetts approved for it because
know.
of the insurance
Today.
restrictions that are placed on those companies.
Again,
Today.
I know people are applying to get that, their contract licenses for it, because it's a thing going on.
Who might
I'm-
that- who
I'm-
might that be, Dave?
No,
Yeah, that's-
this could be happening, which I.
Look, it's a great business to
Yeah.
get into.
It's
Shut
just
up,
a
Bill.
I'm gonna take my car to a mechanic that's seasoned and knows his stuff, not a brand new mechanic.
When the marijuana stores came out, you had to be a licensed contractor to build those.
Yeah.
Then it released to everybody, and that's what's happening with the state. You're gonna be building a lot of these. Can't put all your eggs in one basket.
You're right.
But the main goal is I wanna thank you for looking into it.
Yep.
Keep talking about it at every meeting. Keep bringing it up.
We will.
Yep.
This is a mandate, and we would like to provide Bloomberg to be in compliance.
But again, thank you for what you guys did. I'm glad you did it. And you guys, if you haven't seen it, please go out and see it. It is pretty fascinating.
As well, John Fortune, Hemlock Drive. You had said that somebody told you, or an engineer told you, I guess, that it was double the cost. Was
More.
it the air engineer? I'm sorry.
Yes, more than double. Yeah, engineer, the CDM.
It was CDM, so you talked to CDM? Oh, okay, great. Just wondering who that was.
And just to clarify, that was for the iron manganese, more than double the cost.
Because of the
Because
iron
Because of the
more
iron
than-
manganese.
It's not just double.
Yeah, I
just-
understood that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other? Commissioner, or Superintendent Clerk, further additions?
Just a heads up, I mean, because we are feeding Keating's now.
Oh, yeah.
So, a typical high max demand for the whole summer is usually 1.2 million, our max ever is 1.4. We did like 5 or 6 days at 1.2
Oh, wow.
every day. And when we were doing that, we couldn't fill the tank, they were just holding steady.
Oh, yeah.
So we weren't like at a critical thing where we couldn't, people don't lose water, but it was, we were pretty maxed out, so it was pretty, and they're the cause, with the new SCADA system, we have pressure sensors in the well sites. And we could see every time they opened the valve to fill their trucks.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were filling their water trucks and also filling their pond, which they draw water for
Yeah,
the
the
rest
pond,
of
yeah.
the stone stuff. But we could see the pressure drop when they opened the valve, and then we could see the pressure surge when they closed the valve. And we made through quite a few pressure surges, but last week we had 3 main breaks.
So, just so publicly say what's going on with Keating's well.
They're in the permit stages.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying,
Oh,
the Keating's well, not our Keating's well.
yeah.
TJ Keating's well.
Oh, so I can explain all that. if you
Yeah,
like.
I mean, it broke, it collapsed,
Right.
as, you know, so like, as we talked, the fear with our Keating's well breaking, it happens there, so they're down right now, they're not drawing water out of that well, they're, you know, they're using ours, so this theory of like the Keating's well all of a sudden not working, well, it just happened to them, and that well, yeah, it could have been ours, you know.
So their well is approximately 10 years older than the well we're using in Keating's. So if you don't mind, I give them.
No, you absolutely.
So we were looking for well sites in Lunenburg.
Mhm.
So I met with John Keating. He's the head guy of the Keatings, the whole old castle, the whole.
Back in 2009, 8.
8, 7,
Sure.
it's okay. So I was looking at, we had the hydro jaws, pick spots, so I met John Keating, I said, I want to do testing in these spots. And he's like, you're right in the middle of our industrial land. He says, you're gonna devalue the whole property if you put well sites in there. And I said, well, the best well site is the one, because we found that well at Keating's,
Yeah.
we found it in 1975.
Mhm.
So I said to him, I said, the best well is that well that we already found that you guys are using. I said, how about we make a deal, you give that back, you give that to us, and we'll fix your other old wells behind the Lafarge place.
Yep.
So he's like, all right, deal, so we did it, and that's, we had to pay a lot of
Right,
money
sure.
to do it, but we did the deal. Part of that deal was a memorandum that we had to agree to with them, that in an emergency case, if they needed water, we had to get them water.
Mhm.
So we have a legal agreement that says we need to keep the curb. So that's why, it came up, because it came up with people that were just shutting off. Well,
No, no.
we can't do that, so, because there's an agreement. So. But anyway, so I'm thinking, it might cost us $1,000 or $2, but we were just talking about it today, buying a pressure relief valve and putting it on that hydrant, so that if there is any surge, it'll dump that pressure.
Sure,
on.
yeah, yeah,
So we-
that's actually, yeah, I'd love to do that. So we
Yeah,
can
so
have-
we'll do our pressure relief
With
somewhere
the
else.
1,000, yeah.
Yeah, $1,000.
Yeah,
cheaper
versus the
overtime.
overtime, yeah.
Yeah, I had talked with Rob there, and definitely, everybody's on the same page here to work together to try to get this.
So they're in the process they're in right now is the conservation, which was the delays, the
Correct.
June
Yeah.
19th and then holiday. So-
They're hoping. So. You have anything?
Nope.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask now or wait till public comment, but I saw the chair from the planning board in the audience, and I didn't know if he had anything that.
Oh,
you
did we
wanted
have it
to-
on there for the?
No, if he had
No,
anything
you
that
guys
you
had
wanted.
met
Will we
Monday.
talk after we post it?
I already
Yeah.
did my, yes,
Yeah.
I
So,
apologize.
As many people know, we went and we met with the planning board this past Monday in the discussion on the zone 1, 2, and 3. So I didn't know if there was anything, Mr. Brenner, you had any commentary on or any questions for us?
No, I just wanted to come by. Well, first, just to say thank you for those of you who can make it. I very much appreciated. I know it was a long meeting, even without our combined component. I want, because you had mentioned you would probably be talking about it today.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to be available, I was happy to be available, and if not, I will move on to other town business to get to. But
No, I think you guys should discuss it, we couldn't put it on our agenda because our agenda was already posted.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
But I thought that was.
Comments with him.
Yeah,
I'm okay with discussing it, if you guys are, I don't.
I'm a little bit, I don't think we're gonna, I wouldn't make any decisions
I don't-
tonight.
Right, I personally need to, I read that updated version, I got that email 3 hours before that meeting. I had saw prior renditions that were, I think, changed twice. So, once again, I mean, I'm aware of it, but I'm not comfortable, definitely not gonna make a decision on it, and I need to do a little more, just soul searching. Yeah. So, but Mr. Bursch, Mr. Esposito, if you have any comment, input?
No, so I guess there were a couple things we really keyed in on was treatment in the zone 1, treatment in the zone 2. I think the wording that we had for our current zone 1 was in there, so there wasn't any change there. And I think the biggest thing was the treatment in zone 1 and zone 2 is where we ended up. And we talked about a couple different scenarios that people could possibly live with. We talked about a simple site plan review versus a special permit. Site plan review requires only a majority of the board to vote. Still puts it in that public forum for people to discuss and voice their opinions on any of the things. And obviously, the planning board would have input and be able to suggest things that they may want to see on a site plan when we do one. And there was, the second option was a special permit, which required supermajority, or 4 out of 5 members to vote. And, a couple of the challenges that I saw with that was, if they don't have a full board, they can't vote. If they're, I don't know, Mr. Brenner, if you're short one
Right.
member,
So I can answer that.
Yeah.
I don't know how the water district public meeting rules might or might not differ, so I might say some things that you're already familiar with, and if so, I apologize. We can effectively, any board member can miss one meeting in a public hearing, and in Mullen rule it. You review the minutes, you review the meeting, you fill out a form, and you can still vote.
Sure.
If a board member misses more than one meeting, they cannot vote on a public hearing.
Okay.
And both special permits and site plan approval are public hearings. So the challenge with a special permit just is because you need a supermajority, that means that it can make scheduling the meetings a little trickier in that it could be, okay, we're gonna have the public hearing this Monday night, and then Monday, if you have a board member who falls ill, whose kid has an issue or something, then they might not be there, and then you kind of have to weigh. You might look and say, okay, Matt's already missed one, so maybe we don't want to miss because then he can't vote on it, and that can't be a vote towards the supermajority.
Sure.
But it's manageable, as Mr. Harris pointed out. It just makes, on that end, it makes the scheduling less pleasant.
Well, I'm just curious, because I know everybody in town's dying to jump on boards. You sat on that planning board with 4 people, not 5.
Yeah.
What happens in those situations?
All right, so we did have 5 members. There were 4 participating members. Recalls being what and this was all discussed at prior meetings over the past couple of years. Recalls being difficult, it was easier to let the inactive member's term expire.
No, I
Yeah,
understand.
but, so, I have never had every special permit I have sat on has, over the past 4 or 5 years, however long, I guess 4 years I've been on the board, scheduling has at times been slightly trickier, but it's been doable. And for what it's worth, take it or leave it, they've all passed.
So, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah, no,
you
please.
sat on a couple of special permits.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what they were? just off the top of your mind?
I don't remember. I mean, so, I'm gonna be real, especially in my earlier days on the planning board, that was more managed by the other members who had more experience. I don't remember if we've had any recently, and that's also because in practice, from the board perspective, there's a different vote, I mean, you've noted the differences. Otherwise, it's a public hearing,
Right.
and everything runs the same way, and so I honestly couldn't tell you which ones were a site plan review or special permit off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and,
I mean, but like,
Yeah.
there's laws in town, like we said motel the other night.
Yeah.
You know, like a pot plant shop, is that one?
oh yeah, no, thank you, yeah, Bliss Bliss Cannabis was Uma Flowers when they came to us.
Okay.
They changed the name just for business
Sure, yeah.
reasons. Yeah, no, that was a
That was
special
one.
permit, yep.
I'm just trying to think of other,
And
another thing you might say that would require one.
yeah, there's not a ton. I would actually, I think Bliss Cannabis is a good example, because even with a mostly inactive fourth member, that went through when I had a 6-month hiatus from the board, just due to cancer and
Yeah.
everything. And that still went through without my ability to vote on it. So even with 3 active members and 1 barely active member, they could meet the special permit requirements.
So 3 people voted on that?
Right.
No, there were 4.
Okay.
The inactive member was not, what was during that period of time, not quite completely inactive and unreachable.
I guess one question I would
Yeah.
have at some point is, and I don't need it now, is if we could get a list of currently in town, what is, we can email you.
Yeah, okay, great, so I can get,
I'm just curious myself, currently right now, what in town requires this special permit? If we just had a list of.
yeah, that's right on the use table, I can get that for you, no
Okay.
problem, yeah.
So, I had a couple quick questions. I'm gonna put you on the spot on the second question.
Nice.
But is the process of a special permit versus the process of a site plan review very similar,
Yes,
other than the vote?
the process is very similar. There may be, working off the top of my head, there might be a couple more boxes to check in, in terms of how the paperwork works, in terms of, I think that's actually it. Otherwise, you're generally submitting the same information. And I can go back and verify this. But you're submitting the same basic information. And a lot of it just has to do with, again, the ability of the planning board to look at it and and view more holistically and subjectively, rather than as a pure checklist.
And this is where I kind of put you on the spot a little
Please.
bit, is, what would be your direct feeling in this situation? Do you agree with going to a site plan review or a special permit? Which way do you feel is probably better in this instance? My personal feeling in meeting with your board, you take everybody's comments, regardless of whether it's a special permit or something, and I think you value everybody's opinion regarding whether they're the minority of the group or the majority. So, with that being said, which way would you be swaying? I'm still kind of on the fence. I have not had my decision yet.
So, I'm gonna give you a slightly political answer, and that is, no, but I'm gonna be frank about it, because this isn't like being political to couch my own thoughts, it's because this is clearly in town when I say political issue, I mean there are different groups and constituencies with wildly different feelings. Like I said at our combined meeting, personally, I feel pretty convinced, maybe not 100%, but I think I lean more towards the notion that site plan approval would be enough, given everything. I think that gives enough protections.
With the process that we have to follow.
Yes, however, I know that I'm viewing that from the perspective of my thoughts on the planning board. And while I can look at it and say, the planning board does have a long history of hearing everyone out thoroughly, look, let's be honest, I'm not there for, I have no plan leaving, but I'm not there forever, right? And this, I could be out tomorrow if the board decides to reorganize. Well, I guess out in 2 weeks. But all that kind of together, I do think site plan review, approval, they're technically different things, they're used interchangeably, and that's fine. Because we don't have site plan review, it's a slightly different standard. Is, I believe, gives enough protection. However, I really want to see the water, this water supply protection district and all this work passed. And I do not believe that can happen in a timely manner, in a vaguely timely manner, given the current political climate in the town. Understanding that, I don't think site plan I understand why people want the additional protections of a site plan review. And I am not of the opinion that any assembling of the planning board I can reasonably imagine now or in the future, that would be a really big difference in terms of the end outcome. I mean, it's going, yeah, it does give the board the ability to say no. It does give a little more holistic view. But I don't think, I think it gives more protections on paper. I think it does get, so it gives more protections. I think in practice, they're going to be very similar. So I would also be comfortable with the special permit for that reason. And because otherwise, I don't think we're effectively ever going to get. I think that sounds like it's going to be a deal breaker for the foreseeable future. And if things are functionally very similar or end up being effectively the same, and we can actually get it moved forward so we can do everything else and get all the other benefits of this, I view that as a win. And so I would be, personally, I think site plan approval is fine. I'm very comfortable with the fact that I believe we need the special permit in order to get it forward, and I don't think it would negatively impact things now.
I would tell you, my opinion is I feel that you're, with the special site plan review, or the special permit.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of handcuffing us as a municipal entity.
Mhm.
I feel it takes, okay, one person on your board to feel the same way as some of the public, some of the private interest groups feel. I think there are people out there that aren't heard,
Mhm.
and I think it really, it narrows the process to a structure we have to follow, where I feel a simple site plan review. I can't think of anything that the town of Lunenburg would build needs a special permit. Well, we're a municipality. Why should we fall into the same thing? If there was a Lunenburg Water Department, would you require them to have a special permit?
They wouldn't be going through this whole zone, they'd be mandatory, they have to pass it, they would have no say in it.
I actually don't know what the requirements are for
Right.
as a municipal building. I haven't had to.
I guess that's kind of, where I'm getting at is, I mean, we've done, a lot of this stuff that we've done in the past, it's not against the planning board or anybody else. We've spent more money than we needed to because people threw up red tape.
Mm-hmm.
We followed and went through boards that we didn't really have to, but we did it that way to appease, public outcry on some things. And it's tough being a municipal entity, and you have to answer to a lot of different people. But also, what you always see is the people that either have an agenda or a special interest or a special feeling about something, to show up and be against something is much easier than for the public that thinks, we're doing okay. They don't necessarily always see that. So I'm on the fence. It's gonna take some discussion for me to agree, and I agree with your comments. Yeah, after I was in that room, it seems like the only thing that we're not gonna have outcry about is if we go to a special permit. But I don't think it's the best thing for the district takers. I think it's gonna cost them more money in the long run. And I'm not swayed any way yet, but I'm really concerned with all of the extra money that we spend as a municipal entity to get things done that's nonsense and not needed.
Like I said, and if you took that list of currently what is required,
Mhm.
and then you added us to it, I think you'd see a vast difference in what's required, motels, strip club, whatever, I don't know what's on this list. And then
Water department.
I think if you put that in front of the people, I think you may find it's like, wow.
If I may.
Sure.
Okay, I do want to correct just one very small point. It would require 2 members of the planning board, not one member of the planning board to
Yeah.
vote against. It said one, it's just for the record, everything is 2.
Correct.
So I throw out, sorry about that. I throw out the motels as an example.
I completely understand.
But the other things on there, there are things on there that are more similar to, if we view a water treatment plant as an industrial facility, there are other things on there that are similar in that regard, especially for an industrial, something more industrial that is less likely to be in a fully industrial area away from residential. So I think there are items on there that are more similar. I get the public-private entity dichotomy. Yeah, no, and everything you're saying, I get 100%.
Yeah.
If you're asking I can give you my opinion on everything, but overall, I think the lay of the land in the town is, I don't know, having been at this for a good few years now, I cannot conceive of right now another way forward that isn't meeting that constituency's need. And I do think that I'm fairly well convinced that the way forward is very important right now for getting the additional benefits to the water supply protection, as well as economic benefits and land use benefits to the town as a whole. I'm not thrilled. I'll be real. I'm not thrilled at all having to sometimes feel like I'm bowing to special interests, but I think they would argue that, yeah, of course I view them as a special interest because they want something and I want something else. It's always a special interest if it's the other guy. Otherwise, it's just that thing you want that feels reasonable. So that's some of my take on it. Take it or leave it.
No, I very much appreciate you coming here, for sure, and like, it's a discussion, I agree.
My opinion.
Love to hear it.
I agree that, I would prefer not to have to go through a special permit, but I'm thinking back when I met with Keating's, when we got that well site, the whole thing is that we would do what we could to not impact their land out back.
Right.
So, to me, in my opinion, which you guys do the voting, my opinion was that this isn't such an extreme thing to do a special permit to get this thing to pass, and allow the development to take place. That's my.
That's my struggle, because I believe they've been working on this for a long time. Adam Bernie's tried to bring this to town meeting multiple times. And yeah, I agree. I could probably end up swaying another direction because, the overall benefit to that property and the overall benefit we've gotten from that property, I wouldn't wanna be the one to stop that.
Just a thought, could we maybe just do a special permit in the zone 2 and not the zone 1? Because we have no intentions of building in the zone 2.
No, because what we have intentions of doing in the zone 1. in all of the, in the two sites that we have, other than the Hickory Hills well, we would be building in zone one.
That's correct. So, we'd have to go through a special permit in the zone two, which we don't intend on going, but in the regular one, we just go through the site plan review for the zone one. I don't know if that's a little,
Right,
halfway.
there is much to be discussed here, because you bring up some very valid points, and I'm not, disagreeing that it's 100% true. As me sitting here, I really try to keep, the blinders off and look at the entire water district and see how this affects certain people, not just special interests, but everybody, you know what I'm saying? How does it affect them? How does it affect this person? How does it affect this person? As a whole. That's just kind of how I am trying to look at this. And you're right, I don't want to pigeonhole someone's, benefits over one thing, but then again, I don't want to make a decision wrong to make a right. I mean, that's just, I'm 1/3 up here, that's just how I feel, and I have much to really kind of go through this with fine tooth comb and see if I was living on Howard Street, how would I feel about this? I don't know, and that's, I guess, where I'd love to hear some more input from the entire water district on how they feel. I'd love to know, but I just personally want to make sure that whatever decision is made is in the benefit of the town. That's how I feel. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for having us the other night.
Oh, thank you
It
for
was
coming.
invigorating.
I'm happy to be here. You're welcome, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, so, I don't know if I was the one that made the angry comments, I was just upset that there was a lot of stuff, because the whole focus of that protection is just water supply. The protection of the zones and allow the water supplier to do what it needs to do. So there was things in there that have made me upset to see in there, and I'm still upset that they even got into it, but there, yeah, was nothing intended to, against your board.
I have been called far worse with far greater frequency, so an apology is 100% not even needed, so.
We're all in this together.
Yes.
We're all trying to do the right thing, hopefully in our best of our abilities for this town. That's why I'm here. I'm sure that's why you're here and everybody else is here. So, anything else on that subject? Anything else?
So we'll put it on our agenda for the next meeting.
Yes.
Think about it, we'll talk about it
Because,
again.
yeah, that's what I was gonna look and see
Yep.
what we had for, what our schedule was compared to their schedule.
So we meet
Your
the
next
we
meeting's
meet
on
the
the
20th.
20th.
Yes. Our next meeting is on the 22nd.
Well, our next meeting's on the 24th.
Yep.
Right, but the next meeting, you guys
Oh,
will talk about.
We are not discussing it again
Right.
until August.
8th.
Nope. I'm
26th, is
missing.
that what you said?
Yeah, I'm
Correct.
missing 2 meetings in a row due to travel and surgery, so I'm going,
So you're fired?
yeah. I'm out.
Temporary leave of absence.
Yeah.
So, no, we are scheduled to discuss it again on the, okay, it helped if I looked at the correct month.
I think the 26th.
26th, yes,
Okay.
that is when, so we are scheduled to discuss.
We have time
We
next
have-
meeting
Yep.
to kind of buffer through this more, get some,
Yep.
hash this out to what we want. And then,
If you'd like me available at an upcoming meeting to answer any questions, let me know, but I also don't want to just show up and give any impression that I'm trying to sway or
I'll
show
intimidate.
up
anytime.
anytime you want.
Well, of course, I can.
So we will plan to discuss this at our next meeting, so,
Right.
depending upon your availability, it'd be great.
I will, I am flying in at midnight the night before, but I believe I can be there.
Yeah,
So,
because we
yeah.
need to, this kind of came impromptu tonight,
Right.
so
Sure,
I think
absolutely.
that if we posted on our agenda for the next meeting, if there were people that had reasons and
Yeah.
comments why we
Yeah.
should be going for a special permit versus a site plan review, maybe we'd hear.
And by then, you, believe his name, Harris?
Yeah.
Richard Harris,
was gonna have another
Yes.
draft drawn up, right?
Yeah, so because the town does not have a full-time land use director, and because the amount of time we can contract with Mr. Harris for various fiscal reasons, but between how much he's allowed to do as a retiree within the state system and dollars within the town, he is going to be drafting. And at some point, my understanding from what he said is he's going to be basically creating a draft with a couple options in it, because right around then, I think maybe a little before, is when he's gonna be out of hours, he can work for us. And so he's going to try to hand us something that is, I mean, technically, anyone can draft a bylaw, but it sure is easier when
Right.
a professional
Professional does it, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just asked if we had the draft, you could always take that draft, make your notes instead of,
Well,
you know what I
it
mean?
went
if
well,
that was
I
something.
guess even with this first kind of came up, we were a little shocked that this was even, that nobody talked to us at all, just to avoid mainly the, like we talked about the other night, putting in a bylaw that's basically illegal, you know what I'm saying? Let's make sure that, you know, everybody party here has their interest in how they want it to say, and everybody has the right to feel that way, but whatever we come up with and write, let's make sure at least it's legal.
Yeah.
Before, you know, before we even get to the, let's hash out how we wanna do this, you know, when it's just like, oh, we're gonna do this, like, you can't. You can put this bylaw in and we're gonna look like fools because it doesn't meet any mass general law. That's all I'm saying there, is that, that partnership along, as these bills are born or whatever, you know, we can just, you know, once again, you don't have to like us or agree with us, but let's just make sure it's written in a form that if it does get voted in, it's legal.
Yeah, the sooner we can get a draft copy, the better, because I think we would like to send that to DEP for their
He
comments.
already asked for it.
Right.
Because they're aware of the current one, and they were not very happy with that.
Right, so that's the thing, is that we need to send that to the state for the state's approval, and
Yeah.
then we can also send it to our attorney.
I will, I believe Mr. Harris was gonna include you, but if not, I will make sure that I send it along when it gets in my inbox.
Okay, awesome.
Yep, great.
Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you
in,
very
really
much.
appreciate it.
And my apologies for jetting, but I have about 4 or 5 hours of meetings left tonight.
Oh, no, good
All
luck.
right. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Sorry,
Sir.
that's all I have for adding.
I'm out of our meeting, because I'm not coming back to you. It's all okay, you're done.
Okay.
You have anything, Mr. Esposito?
No, I've got plenty on my mind.
Do we have any public comment?
I do. You gentlemen were here before me, do you have any? No?
All right.
No, but,
Roll your way up and just state your name and
Okay.
address so everybody knows who you are.
Fine, you guys all know where I am. John Fortune, Hemlock Drive, Lunenburg. So I am reading this on behalf of a couple of different groups. You'll understand why as I do. We were encouraged to hear on your June 12th, 2024 meeting, your expressed wish to work with concerned citizens, special interest groups or whatever, you know, on the complex issues facing Lunenburg water users. We share your desire to work together and meet the needs of the entire town, regardless of where people live. After all, the Lunenburg Water District belongs to all of us. The water district customers, the commissioners, and so many others in town, right? It is our water district. It is not yours or anybody else in this room. It is ours. Until we work together and respect each other's positions, the commissioners will continue to spend water users' money, and we're not gonna get anywhere. Spending money, as we just did, on dead-end solutions doesn't help any of us. Blaming each other, blaming me, blaming the special interest groups for our past failures doesn't lead any of us to the futures, right? It simply keeps us stuck in the past. It's time to move on, and that's why I'm here today. There's real work to be done. It's gonna take all of you and some of us to get it done. So let's start with what we need. PFAS remediation is a must for our town and so many other public water supplies, right? It will be expensive, and place financial burden on all the water district customers. Right now, we don't know exactly what it will cost or how much we need, right? We need all that information from Bloomberg Wells, and we are glad that that's the choice you made on the June 12th meeting, to go forward with the Lancaster and Keating's wells to get that data. Right, we need that. Once the data is obtained, we believe the main water producing well, the Keating's well, should be the first focus for Lunenburg Water District. But until we have that data, we don't know for sure. Right? It is the only well that has a chance of supporting the whole town. What are the actual water needs of the town? Fran has told us many times that the highest water needs are in August, about 1.4 million gallons a day. Why? Why in August do we use 1 million gallons a day more than what we use in January? Where's the water actually going? What are we using it for? Do people drink more water? Is it from lawn irrigation? Is it from the pool water that we're selling? Why is it so much more in August than it is in January? I mean, you may have a real good reason. I don't know for sure
Do you
what
want
that
to hear
is.
it, or do you want to just keep reading?
I'll keep reading, we can talk about it after, right? So the sooner we understand the real needs of the town, really what we need, the real home, what the real home use is, the sooner we'll figure out what we really need in an emergency. Simply saying 1.4 million gallons a day is not enough, right? We really need to know what it will take, what every home needs, not what they want, not what they're willing to pay for, but the actual needs to maintain their health and sanitary conditions. That's the emergency water that we're talking about. In an emergency, what are the things that we must do to reduce water stoppage? What will we need to do? Right, stop selling the water for the swimming pools, stop the town from irrigating the public lawns, shut people's water off if they irrigate their own lawns. I mean, limit the use of water overall. We need a plan and be prepared to take drastic measures in a real emergency. Do we need to invest in other water-saving solutions for individuals or other, places in town? Smart metering for homes that limit the amount of water based on the occupants, flow regulators, etc. What are other things we can do to limit the water use in a real emergency? And then, what we just talked about a moment ago, what can we do with neighboring towns, or even something like the Keating's well, the other Keating's well that you just mentioned? We need to support them. Can we get them to help support us in a real emergency? We need accurate information backed up by facts. Lunenburg Water Districts respond best when we receive accurate information on all the possible options, and that available to solve both needs and upgrade wants, right? The information on options provided should be complete, clear, verifiable, and accurate. It should be well researched by the employees here, by the engineers, the commissioners, and by the voters, quite honestly, right? What we need to know, what other towns are doing. You just talked about air. Great data, right? What are they built? What are they building? What's Littleton building? What did it cost them? What are their water needs? How much are they using? All that type of data, just so we have something to compare against. Just saying our numbers are these, it didn't work, right? So, Lunenburg Water District needs citizens, you need the citizen support to move forward, right? The needs for the groups that are involved have not changed. I haven't changed, I haven't gone anywhere. There may be others, but here are the few of the things that the groups that you really need to get this stuff passed, can provide. So the Lunenburg citizens for affordable clean water want clear, accurate information for total cost of their water in the future. Right? They want to know what all the costs are, what all the maintenance costs are. They want to know all of it. They want everybody to pay the same price. They don't want any discounts for anybody for any water use. And most of the cost of the water should be in the use fee, not in the connection fee. They need to understand the total cost of the water so they can determine whether they can afford this or not. The Woodlands residents don't want a treatment plant in their backyard. It's that simple. They don't want increased traffic, they don't want tractor trailers backing down their driveways, they don't want chemicals stored on their property, or restrictions added to the use of their easement. They want continued use of their passive recreation, their swim beach, and their kayak cove. They want a neighborhood to remain as peaceful as it is today. That's what they want. The Hickory Hills residents don't want a well running when there isn't enough water flowing over the dam. It's that simple. We talked about that in the very beginning, we talked about that more than 2 years ago. When there's excess water, they don't have a problem with it, right? They want a legal agreement to make sure that it does not happen. They don't want untreated water from the well flowing into the lake. They want all the conservation requirements and restrictions followed on the easement. They want the Zone 1 remap to reflect the real need of the well, as discussed in the Dunn Geoscience report, not just an arbitrary 400-foot radius drawn on a map. That's what the Hickory Hills residents want. In the past, you told us that the above requirements could not be met, and you failed to get the support of the town to move forward with what we need today. If we're going to work together to bring the citizens of this town a solution for PFAS remediation, then we should know what the requirements are for success. These are not difficult problems, but they will take work from both sides to find a solution that the overwhelming majority of voters can support. No one can deny Lunenburg needs clean, affordable, dependable, PFAS-free water. How we get there varies drastically depending on one's own perspective. The challenge before us is to find a solution to the PFAS problem that we can all agree on, support, and most importantly, the public can afford. We need to work together to make this happen. And I can see right away we have support, so that's perfect.
You saw
This
that?
was
You
signed
saw
by
that?
Bobby Turkington.
Hey, John, you saw that, right?
Joe Keys and John
Yeah.
Fortune.
Great.
Thank
What
you.
I've
Mr.
taken
Chairman.
out of this speech of yours is, you want to run the Lunenburg Water District. You have so many rules and regulations that cannot be taken by the water district. We just can't, you want to, I don't know what the hell you want. You know, and I don't think you
I
do.
just said it.
You,
I just said
you
it.
just
I kinda
want
said
the
it.
water district to bow down to John Fortune. And you want to work with us. I have been hearing that for years. We want to work with you. That is baloney. That is baloney. If you wanted to work with us, you would. Everything we have tried to do for the last 2 or 3 years, you haven't worked with us this much. That's a joke. You want to work with us. Don't look at me now and patronize me, because I'm looking right through that head of yours.
You
And I
go
know
right
what
ahead.
you're up to.
You-
I know what you're all up to. We all know what you're up to.
Well-
You don't want anything to do with us having anything to do with that well down there. That well belongs to the Lunenburg Water District. I'm not throwing $3 million away because you don't want to hear a pump running down there that you can't hear anyhow because it's inside the building. All right? You've got your stuff on our Zone 1 that's not supposed to be there. We're letting you do that out of the goodness of our hearts. Good graces, right? You don't think that's possible. You're laughing at me now, right? You think that's a joke.
I'm kind of smirking back, yeah,
Yeah,
just
I-
like the smirks I got as well. But go
Right.
ahead, continue.
But we can go down there and we can kick all your stuff off of our property if we want. We haven't done that yet. But we're thinking about it. And I'm trying to get it done. But the other guys, well, they kind of slacking back because, maybe they got a little more sense than I do. Right? But you don't want to work with us. Don't come in here and tell me that crap. All right? I've had that for years. I've heard that 1,000 times. Show us how you want to work with us.
All right, let me tell you.
Show
what I
me,
want.
show me.
I will, I will.
Okay. What are you gonna do for
Back
us
to
right now
July,
that you wanna
August.
work with
All right,
us?
hold on.
Let's go back to
Hold
July,
on,
August,
hold on.
September
I'm the chair here.
2022 we
I'm
were
the
here.
chair here.
Go ahead.
The public comment, thank you, is over. You spoke your piece, you spoke your piece.
Okay, well, most of it.
Well, that's as much as we're gonna speak on that.
Okay,
Can I ask a question
No.
in regards to?
Mr. Chair, I would just like to ask one, not anything crazy. I was wondering if Mr. Fortune would be able to give us a copy of that letter so that we can better review it in the future.
Would that be possible, sir?
That would be,
Presented at a meeting, it's public.
Right, just, it's gonna be easier for the secretary and her notes for minutes to have
I
that.
just had one follow-up. It's just a follow-up because in previous meetings and discussions that we've had and letters that we have written to all of the groups that you just referenced, your responses to us were from your lawyers saying that you don't want to work with us. So do we need to go through your lawyers to work with you guys, like
We
your
were told
previous
to not
letters?
contact you, contact
We were
your
told
attorney.
to, from your lawyers, not to contact you, that we had to go through them. So do we have to still go through the lawyers to respond
If
to
you
this
are
letter?
responding to the letters that you got from our lawyers, then you need to go back to the lawyer.
Well, they're telling us that we shouldn't talk to you at all.
If you're responding to what I'm saying here and will make available today, you are welcome to talk to me. You told us at the June 12th meeting you would reach out to us.
Yeah, and we've
And-
sent letters, but we've gotten
No,
letters back
I-
from your lawyers. So I'm just trying to clarify. I just want to make sure, because if we don't go, if we go direct through you, I want to make sure we're not going to get another letter from your lawyer
You
saying that
may
we
get
did
another
something.
letter from our lawyer.
What's that? I'm sorry?
You may get another letter from our lawyer. That may happen.
So that's
I
all
may
I'm
get a letter
asking. And
from
for
your lawyer.
clarification, how would you like me as the clerk to
Clarification,
type up
I
a
am-
response
I
from
am-
them
I
to
have
you or
come
your
here
lawyers?
in good faith
Yeah.
and offered to work with you. Again, this is the second time I've done this, by the way. I came in 2022 in good faith and offered to work with you. I presented to our board, Hickory Hills Landowners Board, and got feedback from them, brought information to you that I asked to be included in that whole test that we did for the testing for the well. You chose not to do any of that, right? You choose not to pump the well off-site, pump the water away, those were all
I'm gonna
choices.
stop you right there, because this is just carrying on.
And I agree, because
Okay.
I'm now living in the past, and I
Okay.
apologize.
It was
So
just
that's
a
not what I'm
question,
trying to
as
do.
for
I understand.
clarification as to which
You are
way we're
welcome to
responding.
contact me.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your response here, Mr. Fortune. I disagree heavily with some of your comments. We will take that letter and we will discuss it at the next meeting. If you would like to have more discussion at that time, I welcome you to come. That's where we'll close this meeting. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
No, not yet. Are we gonna discuss what we're gonna discuss? Or are you gonna drop it, or are you gonna bring it up? What do you wanna do? You know what I'm talking about?
Or you gotta bring it up now.
That's
I'm
okay.
just curious with this.
What's that?
You gotta bring it up now, you can't do that.
Of course I can.
No,
I haven't mentioned it.
Bring it up.
You want me to bring it up?
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, I'll bring it up. At our last meeting, you told us you went down to treatment plant down here. Right? You went inside, you looked around,
Yep.
right? Now, we talked to somebody down there. The public is not allowed inside that plant.
I'm a representative of Bloomberg when I did this.
What do you mean a representative? You can't get in here unless you're a representative of the
I'm on the sewer
Lunenburg
commission.
Water District.
You can ask the superintendent.
We asked her.
Kimberly?
That's
We did.
Kimball, yeah.
She don't even know who you are, never met you, never seen you.
That's not true.
Well, the truth,
We don't-
the truth coming out
I don't think
here.
we need to go there.
Yeah,
No,
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, did you go there or you didn't go there?
Yeah, I went there. That's why I urged you guys to go.
Why
out
is
and
she saying you didn't go there?
look at it. I don't know.
Okay, that's all I want to
Yeah,
bring
that's,
up.
I feel like that's a frivolous.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
it is a privilege, but you know, they want to work with us.
Well, I gave you all the information, Mr. Esposito, to
See,
do it.
information is easy to come up with.
Well, why didn't you do that then? Why did I have to show it to you? I'm trying to help you
All
guys.
right, hold on, I'm
I'm
gonna,
done.
look
I'm
at, listen,
done.
Mr. Chair,
It's just,
sir.
I would motion we adjourn at this
yes,
point.
second that.
Okay, so.
We're adjourned.
There we go.